So I want to introduce Alistair Strachan, who will be presenting NOGs within the RIPE community. Alistair is a Community Development Officer at RIPE NCC, and he traveled from Amsterdam to join us today. This will be Alistair's first time presenting at NANOG, and it's a pleasure to have you speaking with us today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks. Oh, can y'all hear me? This arm? Yes. Hi, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank Matt for upstaging me with his hair. I thought I was going to have the best hair of the event, but no, he rocks up. Also, the accent and the hair don't really match. I'm aware of that, but here we are. So, my name's Alistair Strachan. I work for the RIPE NCC in Amsterdam as the Community Development Officer. I'm assuming everyone knows what the RIPE NCC is, but we are the regional internet registry for Europe, Middle East, and central parts of Asia. We also act as the secretariat for the RIPE community. So the RIPE community is in a forum of all parties interested in a wide area of IP networks. We do a lot from maintaining the RIPE database, allocating resources. We also manage one of the 13 root servers. I mean, I'm not going to give you a spiel on all our services, but just so you know, we do quite a few things. This is me, as you can see. A lot happened in COVID. I've been at the company 10 years now. I actually started in their customer service department. Spent a while getting to know the community and getting to know the ins and outs of things, and then moved into an external relations role, first a junior, then normal, and now the community development officer. So within that kind of community development officer role, I have kind of three hats. God, I feel like now I'm just talking about fashion and hair. First up, we have the RIPE NCC Community Projects Fund. It's a fund of €250,000 that gives grants and awards things to non-commercial projects that benefit the good of the internet. So we've done ICTC schools, we've funded open source hijacking software. There's a whole host. I can provide you links if you're all interested. I also do a lot of the events and outreach. So pre-COVID, we had a member lunch program where we cover a lot of countries. In fact, I think there's 76 within our service region, and it's very hard for us to have interactions on a one-on-one basis with some countries. So we have these member lunch programs where we'll invite a load of people from that local community, and we'll chat with them. It's kind of like a 3-hour NOG. And then the reason I'm here today is the NOG coordination role. So we do quite a lot of NOGs. We do quite a lot for NOGs. We offer sponsorship, so we provide up to €1,500 per event. We also have a lot of knowledge and speakers, so we often provide content and presenters to these events. We do open house events. So open house events are something that happened due to the pandemic. We were unable to do member lunches, so we opened up our house to our lovely community. And we host open house events for NOG organisers, so a chance for the 32, 33 organisers of NOGs within the region, a chance to get together, discuss what's been happening in their NOGs and kind of share information. We have meetups at RIPE meetings, and then also we have an internal focus group of staff. So the RIPE NCC is lucky. We have, I don't know, I think 50 plus languages spoke within our staff. And a lot of the local NOG content is in local language. So we have a focus group with staff of people who can follow the discussions in French, the discussions in German. It just makes it a little easier for us to get the information from them. So earlier this year, the RIPE NCC and the NOG organisers collaborated on creating 2 surveys. One was going to the NOG participants, one was going to the organisers. Now, it was open for 8 weeks, and whilst we did get 400 responses, which sounds like it's a good number, we were stung by and I don't want to make Americans jealous here, but the European vacation allowances. So although we did get a good number of responses, it would have been a lot better if we had more, but that's always the case with surveys. So NOGs within our region, we actually have 32 NOGs within our region. So the largest is PL NOG, so Poland. UK NOF as well. The smallest events are something that's kind of started recently, and they're Net Manchester and Net London. Now these events they happen once a month. They're a lot more lightweight. They will meet in a pub with a projector for football, for soccer, and they will have one or two quick presentations, and then they will discuss and chat, and it's just a way for them to meet up. And I think I'd talk about these later on in my presentation, because I do think it is potentially where NOGs may end up, especially for smaller organisation or smaller NOG organisations. So the oldest NOG within the RIPE region is SWE-NOG, which is Switzerland. So that was founded in 2000. And the newest NOG, which was founded last month, is NOG-HR, which is Croatia, I hope. Yes. Organisational information. We see NOGs are organised many different ways in regards to how they meet up. Some NOGs meet for one-day events, some 1, 2, 3 times a year. We have, I mentioned them earlier, Net Manchester and Net London. They actually host 12 meetup events a year. NL NOG, which is the Netherlands NOG, they host 3 different events. So they have a social event at the beginning of the year. They have a knowledge event afternoon, one later on in the year, normally June. And then they have what you would all know as a NOG meeting like this. Attendees, I mean, when I came here and they were like, yeah, the attendees about 900, I was like, what? What? Our NOGs have really ranged between 50 and 200 attendees. We have a few larger ones like DE NOG Germany, FR NOG that see over 200 attendees. PL NOG's a little different because it's a 2-day event, so they see a much larger number, but that is spread across the event, so 800 attendees. This may be of interest or a surprise to some of you, because over 50%, or nearly 50% of our NOGs in our region are not legal entities. They are not registered associations or foundations. They're actually run by a handful of volunteers, and a lot of the times they're using their own personal bank information. They're using their own money to put up for these events. So whilst I understand it, because to set up an organisation can be a challenge. The big problem with these smaller ones that are run individually is getting sponsorship. Companies won't sponsor a single, like an individual, like here's my bank account, give me 10 grand. I mean, I wish they would, otherwise I wouldn't be on this stage. Yeah, I mean, that's just an interesting fact. This one, I think, will really blow your mind. I'm glad you're all sitting down. 50% of NOG communities are made up of telecoms, IT services, and data centers. In regards to communication methods, main communication methods, again, this probably won't come as a surprise. Mailing lists are remaining king. We are seeing an uptake in services like Slack and Discord, especially with the younger crowds. Website updates and social media also remain a key feature when it comes to communication channels. And in areas such as the Middle East and Persian Gulf, it's actually personal contact, which is a lot more used in regards to sharing information and things. Now, one thing that kind of surprised me is how low IRC is on this list. I mean, I'm quite happy to see it that low on the list, but I know there are some people here who won't be. The shift to Slack and WhatsApp and other technologies, I mean, it is happening, and I think it is where a lot of this communication channels are going to end up. Will we ever shift away from mailing lists? I'll let you all decide that. Activity on NOG communication channels. Now, over 30% of participants are not active on communication channels. Again, I mean, we asked an open question on this as to why they potentially wouldn't be. The majority of people mentioned time restraints, too much noise, not always relevant to what they're doing or working on at that time. We also got some who said that mailing lists can be of not can be an aggressive place sometimes. If you ever have posted something incorrect on a mailing list, everyone lets you know you've posted something incorrect on a mailing list, which can alienate people, especially new people, into the communities. So what can be done with this? I mean, you could moderate it, but then for smaller NOGs, to moderate a list as well is additional work for these people who are already volunteering their time. Let's have a look. A number of people mentioned the mailing lists are dead. Long live Slack channels. I had to copy that from literally one of the responses. Discord is the way to go. But that does actually present challenges. If you're in a Discord and there's a million chats going on at once, it's hard to follow an individual discussion about a topic. Regional differences. Now, I tried to split this up, but unfortunately, the number of respondents we had meant, although I can make it look like there's a really interesting graph here, we had a lot of responses from certain areas and a lot less from others. So one thing we did see, I mean, over 95% of Nordic countries all are active on communication channels. Central Eastern Europe, less so. With regards to NOG participation, we wanted to find out what can NOGs do to encourage more participation. We wanted to know, why do people attend NOGs? What content do they want to see? What prevents them attending? Kind of remote participation, the dreaded word. Most reasons to attend, and I don't think this will surprise anyone here, social networking, presentation content, and to learn. I mean, yeah, I don't think that's a surprise. I mean, from people I've spoken to here already, one of the things that was missed during COVID was the social interaction and the hallway chats and bumping into someone. So I think that's something that will, I think that's something that cannot be replaced. So I'm not surprised to see that social networking is the top. Here's another brief, regional brief. Again, you can see it's pretty similar across the board. There was one slight change with Iran and the Persian Gulf. They have more preference towards sharing experiences as opposed to just watching someone go through a slide deck. So, but again, all of these were over 70% of the votes as to what reasons they're going. Why don't people attend NOGs? Again, this was an open question as opposed to a multi-choice one. Reasons to prevent in-person attendance: time, travel costs, location, often held midweek. Now, time, I do understand this, because getting time off work to attend an event, especially if it's not something direct with your job, can be a challenge for people. Location, especially, I think especially this is for more of the larger organized NOGs. They're often held in larger cities, and it can be expensive and require overnight accommodation to attend these. Now, again, I'm speaking to a room of Americans where you can drive 8 hours and still be in the same state. I can drive 3 hours and be in 4 countries. So, yeah, I think my favorite answer as to why someone wouldn't attend: I'm too lazy. Thanks for that feedback, that's very valuable. Attending remotely, so remote and in person. As you can see, in person is still king. Remote participation remains important for people who are unable to attend, but there's ups and downs of it. The cost of hybrid events is proving too much for smaller NOGs, because if you are doing a full live stream, live chat, you're basically running 2 meetings at once, which doubles the cost. When you factor in the most important reason for people to attend NOGs is the social networking aspect, how does that translate remotely? We, as the RIPE NCC, have tried a load of different ways to do it during lockdowns. So we did spatial chat, which was this chat function where you can move your icon around a room, and the closer you are to people, the closer you only hear their microphones. So it gives that fake impression that you're in a room, but the novelty wears off of that very quickly. And also, the costs for smaller NOGs is too high. Yeah, regional differences again. We've got 95% of people in the Nordic will attend in person. Iran and Western Europe see more remote participants. I think that is just in regards to the ease of travel in these countries and these regions. Now, I feel I've got another, you need to sit down for this one. What content do people want? Networking, routing, automation, open source software for the top. There was no surprise there. I know everyone was expecting that. People are less interested in non-tech, non-IP and vendor presentations. Again, shocked. Surprised or maybe not surprised to see sustainability on that low, because I do think that is something that we as a community are going to have to start taking seriously. In regards to the complexity of content one, this kind of seems normal to me. People want intermediate level. A few people want high level, but the challenge with that is that comes with that is, does that then scare new people off? So if it's a first-time attendee who's just started a job, I don't know, an engineering job, if he comes to a NOG event and everything is super high-end, is that going to be any use to him? Is he ever going to come back? In regards to what can NOGs do to encourage more participation at events, again, this is location of events, costs, better communication of upcoming events, frequency, more opportunities to network, better remote participation. So this, again, was a free text answer, and the responses were varied. I mean, the location, again, it's this, for larger events, they need an event space that has the ability to host a conference like this, which limits them to larger cities and more expensive hotels. The cost of the events themselves is also something that I know it would be, in an ideal world, that like people want, oh no, I just want to come for free, but these events aren't free to put on. So I understand that the events fees can be too much for some people, but the NOG has to be, it's not run for free. The communication of events. Now this is an interesting one that I don't think you would experience in NaNOG, because we have some NOGs that are organized 2 weeks before the event and the invite goes out a week before. And whilst that is down to, because it's one dude doing his all the prep work and everything just on his own when he's not at work, it does make it very hard for people to be able to go, oh yeah, let me just put a travel request in for tomorrow. So frequency, this actually again taps into these meetup events that I mentioned earlier, the Net London and the Net Manchester events. The more events there are, the more opportunities people have to come. And especially with these meetup events, they are very lightweight, very low cost. And even if you just get 20 people in there, you've still got that community and that connection and that sharing knowledge and things. So more opportunities to network. Now this actually is interesting because there was someone who said, and I'm not sure how I feel about this one, let's have half the amount of content and double the amount of coffee breaks. I get it, but I mean, we do have to have some presentations, right? Better remote participation options. Again, if any of you know the secret to remote participation, please let me know so I can patent it and retire. I will touch on this. I'm trying to avoid bringing up COVID at every opportunity, but there was a little pandemic you may have heard of. Within the NOG community, certainly within Europe, where there were a lot of very strict lockdowns, every event was cancelled. Everything. There was a shift to virtual events, but that was a very quick learning curve. Like some were just Zoom calls where just people hang out. In regards to, as these virtual events more and more were done, people figured out that taking longer breaks and having less content when virtual actually does make sense. Because, I mean, everyone knows the curse of Zoom fatigue. Like, you're sitting on a computer and you're just staring at it. You're like, what is he even saying anymore? Virtual events can't bring the value of events that NOGs do before the pandemic. The mingling, the hallway chat, it's impossible. But we do need to have a remote option to include people who, for whatever reason, are unable to attend. It's certainly hard. It was hard in regards to the post-pandemic planning. It was very hard for the smaller NOGs to commit to planning an event. So some NOGs are only now organising their first event purely because we had lockdown 1 and then things opened, and then lockdown 2 and then things opened. And especially if you're a 1 or 2 man band putting on these events, you don't want to risk $5 grand of your own money being lost because no one can travel to the event. What is next for NOGs? Again, if anyone has the answer to this, please let me know. The ever-changing landscape. I mean, it's hard to predict what the future holds in Europe at the minute because there's a lot going on. Same with young people. How do we attract more young people? They're often entry-level employees who very rarely get to travel in the first year of their work. Is that something that we need to look at as attendees? And if you are coming and you've got, I don't know, a junior who's just started, see if you can bring them along. I mean, the more people we can get in, especially younger, I think that it will only help communities. The children are our future, remember. Meetups, I feel like I've just turned into a plug for Net Manchester and Net London, but I do think there is value. I really do think there are values in meetups, and I think this is something that could translate to NANOG, and I'm not sure if you do city or state like meetups at all, but it's something to look into because it's, like I say, it's a lightweight opportunity to meet up, mingle, see the people within your closer community as opposed to the whole country. And it does give a great opportunity to chat and network and share ideas. And with that, I think I'll be quiet. Any questions? Stunned to silence. My work here is done. Oh.
Tom Kostrinsky from Meta, but representing China.
Hey.
So question for you is, how does RIPE kind of help the NOGs kind of scale from, let's say, the 50 or 20 to 100 and 200?
Yeah, I mean, the RIPE NCC does quite a lot. I mean, we do a lot in regards to, or I should say this, we can only do so much because we don't want to be seen as we've come in and gone, you've set up a NOG and it needs to be this, because we feel NOGs should be organically grown by the people in the community. But we certainly have tools and services that people can provide in regards to meeting softwares and things along those lines so they can manage them a little easier. We also have a great, we share all of these events and invites throughout numerous mailing lists, and we have an events calendar on our site that highlights when these events are coming up to try and get more interest. Sometimes we'll hold training, we have a whole training department at RIPE, or at the RIPE NCC. We'll hold training events parallel or the day before, so there's more people aware and there's more opportunity for people to attend. Yes.
Wolf Cuba for NLX. A thought that has been brought to me by a fellow attendee. Have you noticed that the attendance here is about 10 years older in age than it is in the RIPE region?
I'm saying nothing.
Just to make everybody aware of the fact.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you for your presentation. I'm Takuya Toma from NTT. And I'm just curious about PL NOG. There are 800 attendees in that. And the biggest, I expect that the NL NOG is the biggest one, but not. What do you think about it? What makes the people attend the PL NOG?
I think there's a few things. I mean, Poland is quite a pretty big country. I also think that the way their event is, they have a lot of media around it. They have like TV adverts about it and things. So they have a very big production with PL NOG. And also where Poland is situated, I think it brings in a lot of the neighboring countries to attend that. Whereas with NL NOG, NL NOG is a big event as well. But I think with NL NOG, it's, there's less It's the Netherlands. And with someone like Poland, a lot of their neighboring countries have the same issues as them. So I think that could be one of the contributing reasons as to why it's such a well-attended event.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, 5 minutes to spare. I speak quick when I'm panicking. Oh. One more? Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'm kind of short. Anaí Rabata, Netflix. Do you have any numbers about gender? Like, we can see that this is like a lot of males and very little females. What is the situation?
So with this survey, to avoid GDPR, falling under GDPR things, we didn't ask any personal information, and gender falls into that. It's something that we can certainly look into to try and get an idea of kind of the spread. But it just, with the way that this survey was worded, we didn't want to include it because it then makes a whole legal team need to be involved and all of this stuff. But if I will certainly try and find out for you. Thank you. Cool. Thanks, everyone.